The air outside the hall felt heavier than before, as if something unseen was pressing over the entire village. Alva stepped into the snow beside Tip, her heart still racing. Around them, nisses hurried from house to house, checking lanterns and speaking in worried whispers. "What was that shaking?" Alva asked quietly. Tip shook his head. "Another surge. The heart is weakening faster than anyone expected." Above the rooftops, several floating lanterns dimmed until they were barely glowing. Alva felt guilt sting her chest. "Do you think this is happening because of me?" Tip turned sharply. "No, the heart reacted to you. That means you're connected to the solution, not the problem." But the uncertainty in his voice was impossible to miss. Before Alva could reply, Eldrin stepped out of the hall. "Alva," he said gently, "come with me. There is something you must see." Tip followed closely, refusing to let her walk alone. Eldrin led them behind the hall along a narrow path lined with tall crystal pillars. Each pillar glowed softly, humming as they passed. "What is this place?" Alva asked. "The Path of Memory," Eldrin answered. "Only a few are ever brought here." At the end of the path lay a circular pool of shimmering ice. Though frozen, light swirled beneath the surface like drifting starlight. Eldrin gestured toward it. "The heart speaks through this pool. It may show you why the portal opened." Alva's breath caught. "You think it called me here?" "We believe so," Eldrin said softly. Tip stepped forward. "I'll stay right beside you." Alva knelt by the glowing ice and pressed her hand against it. The surface felt warm. Light swirled beneath her palm, dissolving her reflection. Colors and shapes twisted together until they formed a memory she had almost forgotten. Her father lifting her toward a Christmas tree, laughter filling the room, the warmth of a moment she wished she could return to. Then the memory shifted. A door closing, silence, a feeling of something lost. Alva's eyes stung. Tip whispered, "It's showing you your past." The light changed again, forming an image of Lysheim. Its lanterns flickered in the same rhythm as her heartbeat. "What does this mean?" Alva whispered. Eldrin knelt beside her. "It means the heart is linked to your emotions, your memories. Something inside you is connected to the magic of this realm." Alva stared into the glowing pool, overwhelmed. She had never felt more afraid or more important. The glowing pool dimmed slowly as Alva removed her hand. The swirling lights faded back into stillness. For a moment, none of them spoke. The air felt heavier, as if the heart had shown more than anyone expected. Tip broke the silence first. "So, her feelings affect the realm? That's never happened before, right?" Eldrin shook his head. "Not in any record we possess." His expression was troubled. The heart reacts to belief, to hope, to joy, but never has it tied itself to one human's memories. Alva looked down at her hands. "I didn't mean for anything to happen. I don't even know how to believe anymore." "That," Eldrin said gently, "may be exactly why you were chosen." Before Alva could ask more, the crystal pillars surrounding the path flickered. A faint vibration rippled through the snow beneath their feet. Tip stepped back nervously. "Another wave?" Eldrin's face tightened. "No, this feels different." A cold gust swept across the path, sending snow swirling. The crystals dimmed again, but this time they didn't brighten. A strange shadow passed through the light. Quick, thin, like a smudge moving across the air itself. Alva shivered. "Did you see that?" "Yes," Eldrin said quietly. "And that is what worries me." Tip's ears drooped. "Is it the darkness you mentioned?" Eldrin didn't answer immediately. "Something has awakened, something that feeds on the weakening light." Before Alva could react, a distant bell rang from the village, sharp, urgent. 3 short chimes, then silence. Tip gasped. "The warning bells! Something's happening in the square." Eldrin motioned quickly. "We must go, now." They hurried back along the path of memory. The closer they came to the village, the louder the rushing sound grew, like wind, but wrong, almost rattling. Alva felt a strange pressure in her chest, like the air was growing thinner. When they stepped into the main street, nisses were gathered in a frightened circle. Several lanterns had gone completely dark, leaving patches of shadow stretching unnaturally long across the snow. A tiny nissa ran up to Eldrin. "Speaker! The lights, they're collapsing in clusters. Something is draining them." As if responding to the words, another lantern above them flickered violently, then went out. The shadow beneath it stretched farther than it should have, reaching across the snow like a dark spill. Alva stepped back. "That's not normal, right?" "No," Tip whispered. "Shadows shouldn't move like that." The darkness thickened, swirling near the ground, shifting in a way that made Alva's skin crawl. Eldrin raised his staff. "Everyone step back. Do not touch the shadows." The dark shape pulsed. For a moment, Alva felt it looking at her, even though it had no eyes at all. The shadow pulsed again, stretching across the snow like a living stain. Nissies backed away, gripping each other, their hats trembling. Alva felt her heartbeat hammering, loud enough she swore the creature, if it was a creature, could hear it. Eldrin lifted his staff higher. "Do not be afraid. It cannot harm you unless you step into its reach." "That's not comforting," Tip squeaked, climbing halfway up Alva's coat. The dark shape shivered, then split into thin tendrils of smoke that curled upward as if sniffing the air. When one tendril drifted toward Alva, she froze. The shadow hesitated, and then slithered back, retreating sharply. "It avoids her," a counselor whispered, "just like the heart's pulses." Eldrin's eyes narrowed. "Interesting." Alva swallowed hard. "Why would it avoid me?" "Because you are tied to the light," Eldrin said, "and this thing feeds on the lack of it." The shadow thickened suddenly, rising like a column of smoke. A chilling sound echoed through the square, not quite a hiss, not quite a whisper, but something in between. Nissies scattered. Tip grabbed Alva's hand. "We really need to leave." But Eldrin stepped forward. "No, we must observe." The shadow lunged, not at Eldrin, not at the counselors, at a lantern. It wrapped around the floating light, pulling it downward. The lantern flickered desperately before going completely dark. When it did, the shadow grew larger, stronger. "It's feeding," Eldrin said grimly. "Just as we feared." Alva's breath caught. "But how do we stop it?" Eldrin didn't answer. The shadow turned again toward the next lantern. But before it could reach it, one of the dim lights in the village flared unexpectedly bright, almost like a heartbeat. The shadow recoiled instantly, retreating several feet as if burned. Tip gasped. "That light, it reacted the same way the pool did." Alva looked around, confused. The lantern that flared was close to where she stood. Eldrin lowered his staff slowly. "Of course," he murmured. "The heart responds to her. The light responds to her. And the darkness fears her." Alva shook her head. But I'm not doing anything. You are, Eldrin said softly. You just don't know how yet. Before Alva could speak, the shadow twisted sharply and slipped between two buildings, dissolving into the darker alleys of the village. The square fell silent, except for frightened breathing. Tip tugged Alva's sleeve. It's gone, but it will come back. Eldrin looked at Alva with new intensity. The realm is shifting. The heart has chosen you, and the darkness knows it. He stepped forward. Tomorrow, we begin your training. Alva felt her stomach drop. Training? For what? Eldrin's answer was simple, but heavy as stone. To save the realm